you were to ask me why I adore Haikyuu so much, I'd likely tell you the characters. Sports anime like Haikyuu often have a grueling task of creating not just compelling characters for the main character's team, but creating compelling characters for all the other teams they play. It is nigh impossible to make the viewer emotionally invested or even interested by all the characters when there are around 6 to 7 per team and they're only around for 1 or 2 episodes. Yet, Haikyuu still manages to create handfuls of compelling characters and make them remarkable despite all these constraints. Now, I'll be breaking down how I think Haikyuu creates good characters and how they make them compelling, particularly side and supporting characters. Also a note, defining and deciding what makes character compelling is a bit subjective, but here's my view. Compelling characters don't have to be likable. They don't have to make you root for them, though they can. They are simply characters that have a powerful effect on you. They make you admire them, respect them, they're interesting and memorable. These are characters who linger in your mind, even after they are gone. Now that definitions are out of the way, generally there are a few techniques that Haikyuu uses to combat the challenges of characterization in sports anime. To start with, the characters play teams that are reoccurring. Most sports anime have a main rival team or teams that reoccur. Look at a show like Big Wind-Up. The main team, Nishimura, has a rival in Mihoshi Academy, and we know a lot about that team's characters. Kuroko no Basuke has 5 rival teams, but only 3 of them are played against more than once, and 1 is particularly focused on Season 1 and half of Season 2. And Haikyuu naturally has one, in Nekoma, a team that was apparently rivals with the show's main team, Karasuno, several years ago, during the only time they ever made it to Nationals. And now the team seriously has a shot at Nationals again, and is serious rivals with Nekoma again. But Haikyuu has another rival team, Aoba Josei, or Seijo as they are nicknamed, that they also play multiple times. The rivalry with Nekoma is more friendly than the rivalry with Seijo, but the watchers get to know both teams well. Getting into how Seijo was characterized is a bit spoilery for the end of the first and second seasons, so instead I will focus on Nekoma and how we get to know that team. First, Hinata, the main character of Haikyuu, gets lost when the team goes for a run and ends up running into Kema, instead of for Nekoma. Hinata's friendliness and spontaneity contrast sharply with Kema's quiet and thoughtful manner. This is the first of many foils that Haikyuu creates. Hinata is the antithesis to Kema in almost every way, and the viewer intuitively understands Kema as they notice how opposite he seems. The characterization of Hinata over the first 10 episodes makes it easy to understand what someone who was like him would be like, and what someone who was the near opposite of him would be like. This effective tool of foils, and later, of parallels, is used to help the viewer understand almost every character on Nekoma's team. By episode 11, we have a really strong understanding of not just Hinata, but of all the main characters in Karasuno. So when Nekoma is introduced, every major character is given a character that either parallels or foils them. Tanaka is the boisterous, hyper-abrasive wing spiker at Karasuno, when he meets his exact match on Nekoma's team, Yamato. They try to provoke each other and are stopped by Suga and Yaku. Suga is the sweet but focused and wise team mom of Karasuno. Yaku is the team mom of Nekoma. We know this because they have the exact same reaction to Tanaka and Yamato's antics. Team dads and captains Dachi and Kuro are similar in strategy and outlook as shown by the mutual suspicion they have for one another. Hinata gets a parallel in Inoka. Excitable, positive. We immediately understand all these characters in the first few minutes of their debuts, and the match they play against Karasuno is much more interesting when you know all these characters and their personalities. In the match, we get to know these characters even more, and if you like Karasuno as a team, the similarities make Nekoma's team very likable as well. Of course, personal taste in characters comes into play here, but I think generally, if you understand a character, then you get to watch them strive to succeed through hard work, they become compelling. Almost all the characters in Haikyuu really care about volleyball and their teams, and if they don't, there's usually a pretty interesting backstory as to why. These characters all feel genuine. You understand their motivations and personalities, and they are authentic, so they become endearing, because it's hard to hate characters you completely understand, and many of whom are so sincere. But simply immediately understanding the characters is not where Haikyuu stops. Haikyuu uses these parallels and foils as a jumping-off point. Haikyuu is basically saying, okay, look, you know all these characters, what they're like. Easy, huh? Great, because now we're going to develop them, and we don't have to worry about establishing much of what they were like before development. Part of effective character development is being able to see a change in a character, and Haikyuu may be quick in showing the before, but they take their time to show the after. For example, let's look at Kema. I mentioned earlier how Kema is a foil to Hinata, but Haikyuu not only takes a closer look at how and why Kema is not eager, not into volleyball, not passionate, and not confident, but also how his friendship with the opposite Hinata and his teammates change Kema. When Hinata meets Kema on the street, he pretty much forcefully introduces himself, even though Kema doesn't seem to like it. As they begin to talk, Hinata's friendly attitude and questions make Kema feel fairly comfortable, and they have a meaningful conversation about volleyball and each other's teams. By the end, Kema is smiling. This seems fairly normal. Some people have that aura that makes others relax because they're so uppity or positive, and Hinata clearly fits this category. But Haikyuu then showcases how Hinata continues to help change Kema. Kema is still a little bit guarded around Hinata when they meet again to play a practice match between their two schools, but as the match progresses, Kema is impressed by Hinata and Kageyama's quick and isn't afraid to compliment him. Kema watches the other players carefully, but if they make eye contact, he quickly looks away. He's shown to be incredibly thoughtful and very aware of how others think. This is then explained as part of Kemma's backstory. He isn't very good with people and wants to be left alone, but he's hyper-aware of how people think and what they think because he worried what others thought of him. But in volleyball, this good sense of people helps him figure out how best to trick other players. At the end of the match, Kemma tells Hinata that winning seemed normal, and Hinata tells Kemma that when he beats him, he's going to feel something. Kemma says he looks forward to this, and even though it's not large, this is definitely a shift in Kemma's detached view towards the sport. As the show continues, we see Hinata and Kemma's relationship continue to develop, them texting and talking, and one day in Season 2, after they play some practice matches, they have a casual conversation with mutual friend Inoka, and Kemma is so relaxed and calm while talking, the shyness gone. Even his teammates are touched by how he's opened up, especially Team Mom Yaku, who tears up. If you look at their first conversation, and then at this, the difference is so clear. And it was so easy to get here because Kemma was established so quickly thanks to foils. Haikyuu established a character right off the bat, and by the end of the second episode he appears in, his development has already started. It doesn't feel rushed because of how solidly we understood Kemma pre-development from his first conversation with Hinata, and the brief backstory we get for him. And you should stick around until next time, where I'll talk more about how Haikyuu uses swift characterization, specifically with a very minor character. Hey there, you! Thanks for watching. Perhaps you enjoyed this video. Perhaps not. But in the case of the first perhaps, please give me a thumbs up. And perhaps if you really liked it, you want to stick around here to see part 2, where I'll talk about characterization on a more individual and minor level. So you could subscribe. And if you have any thoughts about Haikyuu's characters or characterization in anime, or you'd like talking about something else, please comment. Haikyuu is available to stream legally and free on Crunchyroll's website, and I'll link to that in the description. Also, if you like me talking about Haikyuu's characterization, you might also like my other video on Princess Stride's characterization of its female lead, and about women in sports anime in general. Check that out if it's your cup of tea. Until next time!